when you walk up this dadgum parking lot, how many times have you walked through that parking lot coming in here and you smell that barbecue and you come in here and there's dadgum meatloaf? It's not gonna be my campaign manager, Thomas Mack, back here told me it's not, you don't have to clap for him. You don't have to paying too much already. No, as he commented, it's not Buddy's meatloaf, dadgum it, it's Buddy's barbecue. And so when you come in here, you expect to get at least a little barbecue. And I was complaining up there because they actually did something wrong. The food was awesome tonight. It always is here. Let's give these folks another round of applause. I'm going to do things a little different at these things. It's always dangerous, but I mean, I was on MSNBC this weekend and CNN, so danger is my middle name. All my Republican buddies are like, Burchett, even my Democrat buddies tell me in DC, and I never even go on there, what the heck are you thinking? And I don't care. I'm conservative. I'm just not angry about it. I don't care. But anyway, you might get a convert out of the deal. I'm going to speak. I think we got 5 to 7 minutes on this deal, and then I'm going to stop there and I'm going to answer questions. So I'm telling you that right now so you can think of a good question. If you want to, Google your kids and ask them what to say, because they'll figure something out that will embarrass you totally. So I would encourage you to do that. And I want to thank you for that warm introduction. I want to thank the group here for having me and putting this event together. I'm sorry I've never been able to make this event because this is the, 5th year, 4th year? And every year I've been in DC, and just so happened I guess somebody canceled their speaking engagement, so they allowed me to come in and speak. So thank you all for doing that. I appreciate that. But it's nice, actually, to be in the Republican majority, but too many so-called Republicans in Washington don't have the backbone to stand up to the liberals who want to take away our freedoms. That said, some of you may have seen, been sad to see that Nancy Pelosi was kicked out of the Speaker's office. I don't know, I was cut up with her. The last thing, I mean, the best, the old timers, Democrats, man, Burchett, you can't talk to Pelosi like that. Republican, you can't talk to Pelosi like that. I said, brother, the best thing that ever happened to me is she would slip up on national news and cuss me. Would that be awesome? I mean, and I told Pelosi that one time. I said, Speaker, if you would just say something ugly about me one time. She said, why? And I said, I would stand on the corner of Kingston Pike in North Shore with a bushel basket. She said, why is that? I said, to catch all that money people threw. She laughed. But anyway, this is a true story. I was, my daughter and I and my wife were watching that crazy movie, Don't Look Up. It was about a meteorite coming, but really it was just making fun of conservatives on COVID. It's, the way Hollywood does it. They're a bunch of gutless worms, and that's what they like to do. But they had some pretty good actors on there, so I was watching it, and it had some pretty foul language, so I was having to mute it, and I have to go through it. And my wife said, baby, if that meteorite hit, that'd be okay, because we'd all be with Jesus. And I said, you're right, Mama, we would be. And then Isabel said, Dad, and this is a true story, and I told Pelosi this, which made it even better, because everybody freaked out when I told her this. Even got a double take from her security detail when I said it. She said, there's only 3 things that would survive if that meteorite hit this earth. I said, baby, what are they? She said, cockroaches. I said, good, you're at homeschooling education's doing right. Some little science in there. And she said, my dog Roscoe, because Roscoe, that dog, he's been mauled by a bear, literally. Move out to Emory Road, what happens? A bear's out there, eats somebody's pot-bellied pig, and Roscoe comes back with a big old split down the middle of the bed. He's a mutt, he's the best dog in America. And he'd been hit by 2 cars. But now the neighbors have embraced him, and he comes home and he's shampooed, he smells like pizza, and he lives a better life than I do. They Roscoe's over here, but he's okay. And I went to pick him up one day. This lady across the street, I've got Roscoe, I'm afraid to let him cross Emory. I said, ma'am, how did he get to your house, But anyway, she said, I come in there and she's got this wool, ladies, what's a fancy scarves they wear? Where are they made? They're cashmere, right? Cashmere. That gum Roscoe's laying on the floor. Her husband's passed out in his PJs. She's got the remote in. He's got this fancy shawl across him. He's spread out like Superman, looking at the television. She said, Roscoe's already had his nap, he's had his dinner, but he might need to go out and pee. And that dog gets better. And he come home the other day and he'd been shampooed. But anyway, 3 things. Cockroaches, my dog Roscoe, and Isabel said the third thing that survived the meteorite hit this earth is Nancy Pelosi. So I told Pelosi that. She was walking by, her and Maxine Waters were walking by, and she says, she looks at me, I guess she was rushing out, I don't know, to hop on a broom somewhere, I don't know where she was going. Make sure this thing's on. And she says, and Pelosi says, she looks back at me and goes, "You tell that Isabel I'm a survivor." I said, "Dadgum, don't I know it?" So, but anyway, that is a true story. But people often, they ask me what the biggest threats to this country are. And I tell you, it's not some dadgum meteorite dreamed up by Hollywood. It's China, our debt, and which much of which is owned by China, which our debt is owned by China, and the continual erosion of our civil liberties. Of course, you have the wall that's in there, our border, which is out of control. We see that every day. So that's 4 things actually. So that's Washington math for you. But just last week, I voted against the National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA. This bill, it was negotiated by Republicans, it was reauthored FISA. Now FISA, fancy, I go out for all of what it is, but basically it's just a backdoor to investigate Americans illegally without a court order by the FBI. So what do? The FISA court was created to investigate folks that are not Americans. So, you say, literally, you have a guy that mows your yard and maybe he's not an American citizen. And then hey, let's investigate that guy because he cuts Tim Burchett's yard, which isn't true. I cut my own yard, or my wife does. But just for instance. And they use that to investigate Americans. And they have actually investigated, the FBI used FISA more than 278,000 times to spy on Americans without a warrant. Folks, this isn't your mom and daddy's FBI anymore. They've been weaponized against people in this room. And when they call a mom who goes to a dadgum school board meeting, you call her a domestic terrorist because she's concerned because her kids are getting fed a bunch of pornography and a bunch of garbage in the classroom. They call those people domestic terrorists. We got a real problem in our country. And it starts at the top. They also in this, I had an amendment about my UFOs. Now look, I don't think we're not going to find any little green men or any flying saucers in this stuff. But if they're spending hundreds of millions of your dollars, do you not think we should know? Since 1947, they've been spending on that, and they're telling us they don't exist, but yet they continue to study it. We go down to Eglin Air Force Base. Myself, Matt Gates, and Representative Luna, they're both from Florida. We're supposed to get a briefing by a couple of pilots. And guess what? Those pilots aren't there. We go into the skiff. You can't take your phone. It's James Bond kind of stuff. You got all those. We go in there and there's, the brass is in there and they're all nervous, which they should be. Then you look up against the wall and who's sitting in the back? The spooks. The CIA's in there, of course. And they go through some stuff. It's pretty dangerous stuff. We're in some serious trouble in this country. And then then Matt Gates says, well, we were here to talk about the UFO issue. We're supposed to have a couple of pilots in here to brief us. And they told us that, no, in fact, you're not going to get to do that. You're not, you don't have the credentials. And we said, well, we're United States Congressmen. We're fixing to subpoena y'all for this committee. And we will. We'll see who has the credentials then. So we go out. Matt calls the Pentagon and the head of the Air Force calls and says, in fact, bring those pilots in. And we're briefed. And I can't tell you what they briefed us on, but I can tell you what, they're not telling you everything that's going on in this world. And we need to get to the bottom of it. That's the bottom line. Do not trust a government that does not trust its people. Oddly enough, this isn't in here, but on the FAA reauthorization bill, I had an amendment that just says if a pilot sees something, an anomaly, UAP, UFO, whatever, they see it, and in the report that they make to the FAA, they have to make that available to Congress. Not only was that bill not voted on, the amendment, I was told by the whip that it was killed by the intelligence community, not the intelligence committee. I mean, so unelected bureaucrats who we're in bed with are telling you what to do. I'll tell you what about the war pimps at the Pentagon. I'm not supposed to use that term anymore, but I don't care. They are pimps. That's what their business is war, and their business is very good. They don't mind getting American boys and girls killed as long as it makes their portfolio a lot better. That's what they do. They every time we go into a conflict, you need to start checking Congressman's financial disclosures on both sides of the aisle. They talk about Pelosi making 78%. There's a couple on our side of the aisle that are doing pretty good at it too. When we voted to send our missile defense system over to Ukraine, it replenished ours. Weeks prior to that, members of that committee that would have had knowledge of that, members voted, they bought stock in a lot of the missile defense companies. Listen, folks, it ain't a swamp up there, it's an open sewer. We need to start checking people's records on both sides of the aisle. And vote their butts out. Earlier this year, I voted against raising the debt ceiling, and again against spending trillions of dollars we don't have. Found the government. Y'all don't have to keep clapping. It's like a preacher. You say, "Amen." I'm going to send the offering plate down the aisle. Do it. Let me tell you, in the Burchett household, how it works. We can't just demand a higher credit card limit or print more money if we can't pay our bills. We have to either work harder or cut our spending. Washington, they just spend more of your money. And it's not your money, it's your great-grandchildren's money. And who are we borrowing it from? The dadgum communist Chinese. That's just an open fact. And one day they're going to ask for that note's going to become due. And I'm convinced we have members on both sides of the aisle that are compromised. However they do it, I don't know. I do know. But we've got some real problems. We've got some real problems. We all know Congress and this administration aren't going to stop spending your money anytime soon. We spent trillions on COVID we didn't need to spend. And we used that virus as an excuse to shut down our country. And you notice they targeted religious groups. They targeted the Hasidic Jews up in New York and the Christians up north, I guess I'd say, and the Christians about everywhere else. Shut our churches down. But your big box stores, they stayed open. But the mom and pops didn't. That's very telling when you look at a bunch of Marxists. I mean, my friend AOC, and she is my friend. I don't agree with that dadgum thing she does, but at least she believes in what she says, as clueless as she sounds most of the time. But she's my buddy. And she, I like to say, she's my friendly neighborhood Marxist. But she actually believes what she's saying. Sometimes, I don't know if these people believe it or not. That's why I think a lot of them are compromised. We passed $1 trillion infrastructure bill. It hardly dealt with any actual infrastructure. In the low teens, pretty much. Probably 15% of it maybe was what you call traditional infrastructure. A lot of woke programs, a lot of garbage. I voted against it. And you'll see that in my campaign, because they're going to run against me. I got an angry former speaker that has about $17 million in the bank that he should have been using in campaigns, but he didn't. And now he's going to use it against the 8 of us. And they're going to talk about bills like this that I voted against. But you know what? Even if they're a good bill, we can't afford it. We are not going to tax ourselves into prosperity. We're not going to shoulder you all before debt and make us a better country. And don't even get me started on Ukraine. $114 billion so far, unchecked dollars. Look, Putin's a thug. He needs to be on a short trip to hell as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a fan of his. But Russia's GDP is somewhere between Canada's and France. Europe needs to take up this war. Germany, woefully underfunding this. They're complaining about America, and the way they figure their money is they take refugees. Let me ask you, who in this world takes more refugees in this great country that we live in? Nobody. Nobody. And we're shouldering the debt for this. We're in the UN, we're in all these bogus. We need to pull our butts out of the UN. We need to get out of Ukraine. Invest in our southern border. Who cares about the border between Russia and Ukraine and our southern border? The fentanyl. I mean, everybody in this room can probably name somebody that's lost a loved one or knows somebody that's lost a loved one to that awful drug. It's a serious deal, and we've got to address it. The truth is, though, things like Ukraine, a lot of these are a distraction. There are bigger issues that are facing our country. We have to start by refusing to spend more money than we have. We currently take in about $5 trillion a year, and we spend about $7 trillion. There is no way in this in God's green earth that we can ever manage that. China basically has us right where they want us. It's no wonder they think they can get away with anything. They have this administration in their pocket. He talks about going after Joe Biden and Hunter and all this stuff. The last transaction they had that we found, Chairman Comer called me about it, and he was excited about it. But our Justice Department isn't going to do anything about it. Let's be honest. You could show him with a head, and he just chopped Hunter with somebody's head he just chopped off, and they'd say, well, he just picked it up on the street and was trying to return it to its lawful owner. I mean, it's the most crazy thing I've ever seen. The last one was a $5 million transaction between him and a communist Chinese member, or I'm not really sure what it was about, and the money took what I call a very circuitous route. It went to Hunter Biden, to Joe Biden's brother John, to one of their 20 shell corporations, through one of their 22 bank accounts, because everybody in here has 22 bank accounts, and then it flowed back to Hunter, and then 40,000 went to Joe Biden. Now, how many more, and they don't pay a lick of tax, and they let the statute run on taxes. Now, how many people in here could do $30 million and not show taxes? I mean, this is outrageous, folks. This is how deep this open sewer is. Of course, the Chinese, they spy on us, they hack our computers, and they steal American companies' intellectual property. I'll tell you one thing, though, China wouldn't have gotten away with flying a spy balloon over our entire country under Donald Trump. That is no question, no question. And I believe under Trump, Hunter Biden would be in jail right now. The only thing that guy's qualified for is hookers and crack cocaine. I mean, let's be honest. That's what he's done. To do what?
He's an artist.
Yeah, that's hard work, yeah. I mean, his military career, everything he's done has just been marred by, and he's made bad choices. And now the Democrats are saying, oh, you're picking on him because of his drug addiction. Well, I'll tell you what. You go out here, you're whacked out on whatever, and you kill somebody on the streets in Knoxville, Tennessee, guess what? You're still going to be charged with vehicular homicide, no matter what's in your bloodstream. And I apologize to these young folks at Farragut. I got maybe said something a little rough there. I forgot to mention young people here. Who am I kidding? They know more about this stuff than we do. Just have to say that in case one of their moms was here. Don't doubt it for a second. We're compromised, folks. China has infiltrated this country, and it goes all the way to the top, all the way to the big guy. We know that. Hunter Biden was raking in $10 million per year, as I said, from the Chinese billionaire. And they held one payment back for the big guy. And sure, Trump's kids got rich too, but you know what? They sold crappy ties and cheap steaks. They actually sold a product. And and they keep bringing up Trump. Well, they control, as one of my friends in the squad said, they control all 4 branches of government at one time. Actually, there's only 3, but they said 4. She was on the cover of Time magazine, so you got to give her a little slack. But literally, I mean, if there was a problem there, they would have charged. We got a chance to fix this thing before it gets too late, folks, because it is getting late. We're staring at the abyss. When 20 million so-called evangelical Christians decided to stay home last election, they're not taking it from us, folks. We're giving it to them. We are giving it to them. On election day, when you're sitting there watching The View, and they're telling you exactly how to think, maybe say a prayer and ask the Lord what you should be doing that day. And I'll guarantee you, he's going to say, get off your butt and get to the polls. I don't care if it's a state election, local election, state election. And you're going to say, well, what's the use? They're going to steal it from us. Dadgummit, we got to put enough points on the board so they can't steal it from us. Let's take it to them on Facebook. I don't care if you're in your Sunday school class, you're at the mall, you're at one of your clubs, social clubs, whatever, you're with your buddies at work, and they start telling you stuff. Tell them, ask them, how can we take in $5 trillion and spend $7 trillion every year? How is that successful under this White House? Listen, this president can't find the dadgum soft serve ice cream machine in the White House. I was with him on the State of the Union. He was walking down the aisle, and nobody wanted to get his picture made with him, and I didn't care. I figured that's the President of the United States, my mom and dad. survived the Second World War and the Depression. You know, my mama flew an airplane during the war. I'm going to stand here and talk to the President of the United States. And my buddy Josh Gothenheim, who's a conservative, moderate, I guess you'd say, he's a conservative Democrat from New Jersey. He was fumbling with his phone, and I said, you want a picture of the President, Josh? And he said, yeah. I said, let me get it for you. I took one and I sent it to him, took a bunch. So Joe Biden says, hey, how are you? And I said, hey, Mr. President. I said, I'm Tim Burchett. I'm the 435th most powerful member of Congress, and I just want to say hello. And he said, Tim, I know who you are. And I thought to myself, dadgummit, who's a bigger liar right now, me or me? And this lady who's his handler, man, she's mean. She's like a warden or something. She was getting ticked because I just kept talking to him and talking to him. And it was really sad after a while because he was saying words, I understood the words, but you know, they didn't match up. We got a real problem. People say they want to get rid of Joe Biden. Let me tell you, I know Kamala Harris. Let's stick with Joe Biden. Let's pray for what we got. Let's get through this dadgum election. I don't think Biden will be on the ticket. I honestly don't. I just can't see with all this stuff coming down. It's just day to day. It's day to day. There's a lot wrong with this country right now, but we're still the freest country on this earth. And one of the reasons is people pray. We've also got a lot of people that serve this country are veterans. If there's a veteran, you raise your hand. I always say this when I'm around a group of veterans, and I mean it. As a Christian, I owe y'all everything I have in my life but my salvation, and I thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Amen, too. I appreciate it. And thank you for serving the country. So we're going to keep fighting for Tennessee and our values. Like I say, I don't take myself serious, but I take myself very serious, and I take this job very serious. And every night I go out and look at the Capitol. I sleep in my office because I'm cheap and it's expensive, and you got a target on your head when you wear this in D.C. now. It's changed a lot in the last year. They warn you about coming to groups like this, being in parades, and taking precautions. And every night I go out and look at that dome on the Capitol, and I think, wow, Charlie and Joyce Burchett's baby boy, you know, Daddy fought in the Pacific, fought in the Marine Corps, fought the Japanese. Mama lost a brother fighting the Nazis. She flew an airplane during the Second World War. I'm thinking about, wow, they're baby boys, the United States Congressman. And I take that very serious. So thank y'all for this opportunity. Let's keep fighting. Let's save our country. Thank you.